This is Martin Giles of the Guildford Dragon News, and I'm now with Ed Davey, the newly elected leader of the Lib Dem Party, who's visiting Guildford. Ed, welcome to Guildford.
Thank you.
And now you're visiting Guildford as part of your national listening tour. Why are you doing this?
Well, the Liberal Democrats have had 5 years, 3 general elections, where we haven't done very well. We've just got to face up to that. And I think the voters have been sending us a message that they don't feel that we're on their side, that we share their priorities. And the only way you can turn that around is by having a degree of humility and going around the country to listen to people. Now, there are lots of people who agree with our values, but if you see that in local government, you see lots of, in local communities, our councillors and campaigners really in touch with their community and getting elected by their community. But I think nationally in the Liberal Democrats, we've lost that connection. So it's about reconnecting, and that starts with listening. And I've been to the Northwest, I've been to Wales, I've been to Scotland, and now here in Guildford.
Okay. Now you're not far from Guildford, your constituency. So how well do you know Guildford as a town, as a borough, and what have the people of Guildford been telling you?
Well, I've known Guildford a fair time because I've lived in Surbiton, just up the railway line, for over 20 years, and come to Guildford many times. I knew Sue Doughty very well, of course.
Sue Doughty, the previous MP for Guildford.
And known Zoe Franklin here, who's leading the Liberal Democrats here. And I've been really taken with the town. It's a beautiful town, and it's got such a heritage, but it's also prosperous, and it shows that it makes a massive contribution to our economy. So there are obviously lots of local issues which I won't know as well as the local councillors, but it's always a lovely place to visit.
And what have the people you've been speaking to here in Guildford been telling you about the issues they have?
Well, I've just spent about 2 hours in a local hair salon,
right.
Julia Lampard's. So I've been talking to Julia, who's been a local business person here for many years, very successful, and we're talking to her about how she's coped with COVID. But she enabled me to talk to her staff, some young apprentices, some people who've been with her a little while, as well as some of her clients. So I was talking to one lady, for example, who runs a business, employs about 10 people in the building sector, the environmental side of the building sector. And it's really interesting to hear the challenges she's faced. Another lady who is retired and her experience of COVID. And what I'm picking up here in Guildford, rather similar to other parts of the country, is people are really focused, understandably, on COVID, the impact on, frankly, the health crisis of the country, and the impact on what's an economic crisis to a jobs crisis. And I'm meeting people who are inspiring, actually, people who've found ways to innovate and try to overcome these challenges. But there's still a sense of worry. There's still a sense that we've got a tough time ahead of us.
Right, but did these people know when they were coming to have their hair done that they were going to be subjected to a political interview?
Well, it's not been very political because I'm listening. I'm not coming there to...
No, but did they know?
Some did. I'm not sure if everybody did.
Okay.
I left it up to Julia. She's a business
lady. So they weren't all necessarily Lib Dem voters?
We didn't talk about politics.
No.
What's very interesting on this listening exercise, I'm deliberately not talking about politics. I'm just seeing what people want to talk about.
Okay. But it's important for you, presumably, you want to hear views from across the spectrum because you want to attract votes from sections that haven't voted for you before.
But this is not about canvassing, it's not about campaigning, okay. This is very different.
This is just hearing the issues.
Yeah, it's absolutely not electioneering. This is something that I don't think political parties and politicians do enough of.
Right.
And that is forgetting elections. And do you know what? It's really interesting when you do listen to people. They don't talk about the same things that politicians in Westminster talk about. Our obsessions at Westminster, between the parties, the big issues that we worry about, often aren't the issues that people out there are worrying about.
Okay.
So when I was up in Stockport in a fish and chip shop, Dee, who was frying with fish, was talking about her pension. Jamie, who was a manager, was talking about the new house that he and his partner have got, and the fact they've got a child on the way. Those issues, which are actually so important to people, they're far more important than some of the hot air we have at Westminster.
But you said COVID was top of the pops at the hairdressers, is that right?
Yeah, I think COVID is top of the pops in everything, actually, because whether it was Dee worrying about her retirement, or Jamie about his home and his new child, or Julia about her business. COVID is affecting everything, and it's affecting people now, next month. It's also affecting how they're thinking about the future, because there's a degree of uncertainty and anxiety about the future. And I think people are wanting some clarity and some leadership, and I get a sense they don't think they've got that at the moment.
Okay, now I don't often get the chance to interview the leader of a national party, so forgive me if I do get into the politics here. Now, Zoe Franklin made significant inroads into the Conservative majority here in December, and reduced it to just over 3,000. But it wasn't enough. And critics might say, if you couldn't win then, with so many factors in your favour, you never will. What would you say to that?
We've won in Guildford before. My good friend Sue Doughty managed to win, maybe at a time which was less favourable. So we can win Guildford. I know we can win Guildford. We've got a great local council team here. Zoe is a fantastic candidate. And what's really interesting, rather than disappearing after the election, which was disappointing, I mean, we all know that, but they haven't disappeared. They're out there campaigning. They're out there taking up the issues that local people worry about. And I'm really proud of them, actually. The fact that Zoe and the council team are out there working, even in this tough time of COVID, shows their commitment to Guildford and the people of Guildford.
Okay, so I know you say you're in listening mode, and that's understandable, but have you got any idea yet about some of the policies you might have that could persuade more voters to vote for your party at the next election?
Well, I am in listening mode, and the manifesto won't be written for quite a few years yet.
No.
And we're at the time of huge uncertainty because of COVID and the economic and health crisis. So I want to focus on what contribution Liberal Democrats can make in local communities as well as nationally about helping people through this crisis.
Okay.
It is severe, and I don't think people want to know what our election slogan is in 4 years' time. They want to know what we can do now. And we may not be in government, but we can put their concerns to government. But in other areas, we're running local councils, like here in Guildford, and doing a really good job of it. So, I'm keen that our Liberal Democrat family, whether at local government level, national government level, are responding to the concerns of people now and focusing on their issues now. Because I'll be frank with you, I don't think the current government is doing a very good job. And I think...
Shock horror.
Well, not just because I'm a Liberal Democrat and not a Conservative, but I genuinely think they've been quite disappointing.
Right.
There have been some good points. Let me be as balanced as I can. Rishi Sunak's original furlough scheme, we strongly supported and argued for it to be extended. So there have been some good points. But the mixed messaging, the failure to act quickly enough, and I think for me above all, the failure on the care homes has been a tragedy and just quite incompetent and with some serious consequences.
Okay.
So it's really important that we are there with other politicians, holding them to account, trying to get them to do a better job.
Now, Guildford voted Remain in the 2016 referendum, and Brexit remains a thorny issue. You have said that your party was diverted and distracted by Brexit. They must now refocus on voters' more urgent concerns. But wouldn't many of your party like you to back demands that you have an unequivocal policy to back rejoining the EU as soon as possible?
Let's be clear. We've always been pro-European. We always will be pro-European. Liberal Democrats believe, as internationalists, that working with other countries is in our mutual interest. That will always be the case. And we fought a good fight. And what I was really saying is that it wasn't just that I wasn't saying we were wrong at all to fight the battle against Brexit, but we also need to talk about the other issues that we care about, because there are many others. We are worried about people's jobs and how we can help them and hopefully build a greener economy which takes into account climate change in the future. We're worried about the health system, and particularly the fact that other parties don't seem to understand the link between health and social care, which has been so obvious during the COVID pandemic. We've talked about for ages, and we want to be the voice of carers and the voice of championing social care, because we think that is what our society needs to be fairer and to be frankly a more caring country. So it's not that in any way we're losing our passion, our pro-European commitment, not at all. What I want to do though is make sure that people hear about our other views, our other priorities too.
Davey, thank you very much.
Thank you.